My benchmark was to create a model to represent part of the water cycle, SC5E71. And my lesson was all about precipitation, the many different kinds of it, and how it forms. And since we live in Florida, the most common form of precipitation is, of course, rain. And to model and represent rain today, we're going to be making rainfall in a jar. Rain forms when water in a cloud condenses, the water vapor in a cloud condenses, it forms droplets, and then it condenses more and more, and the droplets become bigger and heavier until they're too heavy for the cloud to suspend in the air and remain airborne, so they fall, creating rain. A couple teacher tips are to practice your experiment or model before you do it with the students to make sure everything's working right, and then practice it again in front of the students so that they can see the right way to do it. Always tell them about post instructions, model for them the proper storage and safety with any materials you're going to use. You don't want them getting anything in their eyes or their mouth or their nose. So the things we're going to need for this experiment is water, food dye, blue is best, a mason jar, shaving cream, and another tip is this is great if you can do it outside, and if you can't, have some paper towels or something for cleanup. So I already poured water into a jar about 3/4 of a way full. The water in the jar will represent the sky, and the shaving cream will represent the cloud, and the food coloring rain. So with a 3/4 filled mason jar, you're going to make a cloud on top of the water with the shaving cream. Okay, and just like when it really rains, I'm going to start dropping this onto the cloud, and at first nothing will happen, but eventually it will become heavier and heavier until the shaving cream can no longer hold it up, and then it'll make rainfall inside the jar. Just have to wait a little bit. You don't want to use too much because then it doesn't fall in like nice lines. So we've got one there. A little bit more. This is also really pretty. So as you can see, it starts to rain inside the jar. Some misconceptions that students have about precipitation of rain in particular is they think that raindrops are teardrop shaped. They have good reason to think that because that's how they're often drawn, but they're not. Water droplets from rain are spherical. Students also sometimes think that when they see clouds, it always means rain. That is false. Clouds can predict rain, but they don't guarantee it. And students sometimes after the lesson will often think that rain happens when the clouds become heavy, but that's not the case. It is the water inside the clouds that becomes too heavy and falls. And last, some students will think that rain happens because you need it. And that's probably because people will sometimes say, oh, it's raining, yes, that's good, we needed it. But that's not true. Rain happens whether or not you need it. And especially with the way our climate is changing, in some places rain isn't going to happen as often as they need it, like South America and Central America, and in other places it's going to happen more than they need it, which of course causes flooding. So that's something that precipitation can lead into discussing too. Thank you so much and have a good fall semester.